Hey everyone, before we dive into this story, please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. I was still scrubbing plates when a notification from my banking app nearly stopped my heart. I'd come over to celebrate Rick's 62nd birthday with a spread of homemade chili, crusty garlic bread, a slightly charred pecan pie, and now, it seemed, a missing $12,000. From the living room, the clatter of forks and bursts of laughter floated in. Eli's over-the-top sports commentary, Marissa's sharp giggle, and Emma's delighted squeals over a new iPad. Probably not a hand-me-down, I realized. I wiped my hands on the towel draped over my shoulder, unlocked my phone with Face ID, and gaped at the numbers. $11,987 gone. The transactions were fresh, scattered across the past 6 weeks. Autopay to Eli Thompson. Venmo to MT Rent Depot, recurring. My gut twisted. I scrolled quickly, then slowed, trying to piece together the puzzle. Impossible. I'd checked this account just last month. Everything was in order. My emergency fund, my travel stash, the deposit for that Oregon retreat I never took. I closed the app and glanced around the kitchen. The chili's aroma lingered. The counter was littered with plastic cups, a half-empty salad bowl, and Emma's tiny glowing sneakers tossed near the pantry. Above the microwave, a framed photo of me and Marissa as kids, clutching hands in matching fleece pajamas, beaming. When was the last time we'd shared a laugh like that? 2 hours earlier, I'd arrived with a bottle of wine in one hand and a homemade apple tart in the other. Marissa offered a fleeting air kiss, already scrolling her phone. Emma barreled into me yelling, "Auntie Avery, you're rich now," like it was my new title. Mom, Carol, bustled about in a pale pink sweater, stirring chili as if oblivious to the undercurrent of strain. Rick lounged on the deck, nursing a beer and prodding the fire pit with a stick. Dinner was fine. The usual questions: how's work? Still single? Still in Seattle? They admired my freedom, my solid job, my snug apartment. But beneath the praise lurked something else. Must be nice, someone muttered. No kids, no rent, no loans to weigh me down. I laughed it off as always. But now, staring at unauthorized transactions, unfamiliar names, and transfers I didn't approve, the room felt different. I stepped into the dining area, phone in hand. Marissa sipped wine, legs tucked under her on the couch, nails gleaming with neutral polish and tiny rhinestones. Eli leaned against the fridge, beer in hand, smirking. "Hey," I said, raising my phone. "Anyone touch my banking app?" Marissa glanced up, startled but unbothered. "What's that supposed to mean?" "There are transfers I didn't authorize. A lot of money's gone." Eli sipped his beer. "Define a lot." "Almost $12,000. Marissa blinked. "That much?" I turned the screen toward them. "Look, these happened over the last 6 weeks. I didn't approve any of it." Eli shrugged, still leaning against the fridge. "Chill, Avery. We just borrowed it. You've got plenty." I stared at him. "We?" Marissa arched an eyebrow. "Come on, Avery. It's not like it's gone forever. Some went to Emma's school supplies, and rent was rough this month. You never asked." "We didn't think we needed to," Eli said with a chuckle. "You always help out anyway." Carol stepped in from the hallway, wiping her hands on a towel. "What's happening?" I turned to her. "Did you know about this?" She hesitated. "Well, Marissa mentioned needing a little help, and I assumed you were okay with it." Rick didn't look up from the TV. I felt weightless, like the floor had vanished beneath me. It wasn't just the money. It was the ease, the presumption, the casual disregard. My emergency fund wasn't just dollars, it was security. Years of skipped trips, side gigs, and budget meals. Every time I said no to a night out, telling myself, later, Avery, when it's safe. Now it was a punchline in my own home. I scanned the room. Emma's iPad. Marissa's new boots by the door. Eli's car keys. His ride was a sleek, new silver model. I swallowed the heat rising in my throat. "This is theft." Marissa frowned. "Avery, don't be so dramatic. We're family. Family asks. Family respects boundaries. Family doesn't take $12,000 behind your back." Eli rolled his eyes. "You live alone. No mortgage, no kids. Don't act like this is a crisis. I stood there, mouth dry. Not one person in that room looked remorseful. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was just the first time they didn't bother hiding it. Snow swirled lazily outside my apartment window, dusting the fire escape like the city was hushing itself. Inside, the only sounds were the heater's soft hum and the occasional clink of my spoon against a half-eaten bowl of lentil soup. My living room was tidy, sparse, a gray sofa, a lone plant, shelves of records I rarely played. On the coffee table sat my laptop, a stack of bank statements and a folder labeled unauthorized in black marker. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but there it was, line after line. Rent transfer, $1,850. Car repair, $600. Utility relief, $312. Recurring payments to accounts I didn't know, yet the names M. Cooper, E. Thompson felt hauntingly familiar. I opened my phone's text gallery, scrolling through years of messages. So many began with, "Hey, quick favor," or "just this once, I swear." In 2017, Marissa called at 11 p.m., sobbing. Emma was one, and they were 3 weeks behind on rent. "Please, Avery, I don't know who else to ask." I sent $1,500 that night. No questions, no thanks, no follow-up. I never mentioned it again. There was the time Eli's car broke down, and I skipped a San Diego work retreat to cover repairs. Another time, Mom's phone was cut off. "Bill surprise," she texted. "Can you cover it till Friday?" I did. She didn't follow up. I picked up a birthday card from Marissa, still unopened on my shelf. Inside, just a pre-printed happy birthday and her signature, no note, no effort. I sipped my now cold soup, set it aside, and dialed. "Mom." "Hi, sweetheart." Her voice was too bright, like she expected good news. "Hey," I said flatly. "Did you know Marissa and Eli were taking from my account?" Silence. "I thought you gave them access." "Marissa said you were fine with it." "She said that?" "Yes," she said cautiously. "And I figured, you always help. You're doing well." "That's not the same as saying yes." Carol sighed. "Avery, you've always been the strong one. No one depends on you. I didn't think you'd be upset." "I'm not upset," I said quietly. "I'm done." A pause. "You don't mean that." But I did. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and started a spreadsheet, cross-referencing every transfer, every note. I color-coded recurring payments, flagged those tied to Marissa's address. Over 3 years, 47 payments, 0 repaid. I remembered Christmas 2 years ago, buying Emma a STEM kit she'd mentioned. She squealed when she opened it. Marissa frowned. "Couldn't you get her something cuter?" I recalled Emma tugging my sweater, whispering, "Mom says you can buy anything." I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused, methodical, ready. The money was just a symptom. The real issue was how easily they assumed I'd stay silent. The office smelled faintly of lemon oil and paper, almost too pristine. A long wooden table sat at the center, surrounded by soft leather chairs. Sunlight filtered through frosted glass, casting angular shadows on the floor. I sat at one end, hands clasped, a charcoal gray folder in front of me. I dressed deliberately. Dark slacks, a crisp blouse, no earrings, no perfume. I wanted to look serious, not a daughter or sister, but a client. Across from me was Julia Carter, late 40s, sharp bob, black blazer, no chit-chat. I liked her instantly. She opened my folder, scanning the contents, bank statements, email printouts, text screenshots, a spreadsheet of 3 years' worth of unauthorized transfers, coded by recipient, date, and type. The silence was precise, not awkward. After a few minutes, Julia closed the folder. "You've built a case." I exhaled, unaware I'd been holding my breath. She tapped the folder. "You kept everything." Almost obsessively, I said. They used to call me paranoid. Her lips twitched, not quite a smile. "I've seen worse. This is thorough." I nodded. At first, I was confused, then disappointed, then tired. Then I got organized. Julia leaned back. "Do you want to warn them or pursue legal action?" I hesitated. She continued. "Warning gives them time to spin a story. Litigation's messy, but it sends a message. They're my family, I said slowly, but they treat me like a resource. She let my words linger. I glanced out the window. A barista across the street wiped down a table, brushing away early spring pollen. Everything outside felt too ordinary for the betrayal I was grappling with. Last year, I donated $300 to Emma's school fundraiser and bought 4 boxes of cookies. A week later, a coworker said Marissa called me guilty rich. I didn't understand then. I did now. I don't want revenge, I said quietly. But I want it to stop, and I want them to know it wasn't okay. Julia clasped her hands. Closure or justice? I met her gaze. Both. But I'll settle for justice. She nodded, opened a new file on her laptop, and started typing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. The past few days have been a deluge of messages, Marissa's memes, Eli's question marks, Mom's voicemails starting with sweetheart, and ending with don't make this a thing. I'd stopped responding. I didn't want explanations or remorse. I was done teaching those who refused to learn. Julia finished and turned the screen to me. This is the initial complaint. Once filed, the bank will release more records and will move to mediation or escalation. I read it, my name at the top, theirs below. It felt like a report for a crime with no fingerprints, just assumptions. Julia closed her laptop. Once we knock, there's no going back. I met her eyes, then knock hard. They thought I'd vent, cry, send a dramatic text, go quiet for a bit, then show up again with wine and a homemade dish. So when I invited them for dinner, they agreed without a second thought. I brought no wine, and the only thing I'd cooked was the truth. The backyard looked much like it had last fall, string lights glowing, porch fans spinning lazily, plates of grilled chicken and potato salad on the table, like any Sunday evening. Marissa wore a breezy sundress, masking her irritation. Eli sprawled across 2 patio chairs, beer in hand, like we were at a tailgate. Carol shuttled between kitchen and yard, carrying lemonade and napkins, avoiding eye contact. Rick sat with a paper plate, looking vaguely puzzled, as if unsure whether this was a birthday or a barbecue. I sat across from them, hands in my lap. As a teen, I'd half joked to Mom, if I ever disappear, I hope someone knocks first. Now I was the one knocking. Eli raised his beard toward me. So, what's the occasion? Don't say you're getting married. We'll all pass out. Marissa gave a sharp laugh. Or moving to Europe to ditch us. Carol forced a smile. Whatever it is, honey, we're just glad you're here. I stood, went inside, and returned with my laptop and a stack of folders. I placed one in front of each of them. What's this? Rick asked, squinting. I didn't answer immediately. I connected my laptop to the HDMI cable feeding the TV above the fireplace. The screen lit up with a color-coded spreadsheet, meticulously cross-referenced. Silence fell instantly. For 3 years, I began, I've transferred $47,000 to this family. Most without being asked, none repaid. These folders hold bank statements, texts, emails, and transaction summaries from my account. Marissa's laugh broke mid-note. What is this, Avery? A prank. Carol lifted her folder, hands trembling. You didn't have to do this. No one else thought anything was wrong, I said. Eli leaned forward, smirk fading. You went to a lawyer. Yes, I said. And the Washington Financial Investigation Bureau. Rick's cup clattered against the table. Marissa's fork slipped, clinking on her plate. Carol blinked rapidly, like she was trying to wake up. You invited us here to accuse us of being criminals? Marissa snapped. No, I said evenly. I invited you to watch me stop pretending. Knock, knock, knock. 3 sharp raps at the front door. No one moved. I stood and opened it. 3 agents in dark blazers stood on the porch. The lead held a manila envelope and a tablet, their jackets emblazoned with the Washington Financial Investigation Bureau emblem. Miss Avery Monroe. Yes, I said. I'm the complainant. He nodded. We're here with warrants for preliminary questioning and documentation retrieval. Is Eli Thompson present? Eli stood, face paling. This is insane. Marissa Cooper, the agent continued. Marissa froze. I didn't, she whispered. A second agent stepped forward. Please remain seated. This is a non-criminal inquiry for now, but non-cooperation can escalate. Carol clutched her napkin. You didn't need to do this, Avery. We're family. I looked at her, voice steady. Then maybe you should have acted like it. Rick spoke, barely audible. We thought you'd be fine with it. I turned to the agents. You can begin. The lead nodded and the room transformed. What began as a backyard dinner became a formal reckoning. Mom met my eyes for the first time in years, speechless. I didn't return to my apartment after the investigation. I went home, to the one place that never demanded anything from me. Spring Hollow was quieter than I recalled, its road winding past dry fields, rusted mailboxes, and hand-painted signs. Edith's cottage stood at the edge of the woods, behind a crooked white fence and a wild garden. I parked under the old maple and stared at the porch. The wind chimes, tangled and off-key, still hung. The key she'd given me years ago turned smoothly. The lock clicked. Inside, the air smelled of cedar and faint sweetness, like dried citrus and unused soap. The wood-paneled walls glowed honey gold, the floral curtains faded by the sun. A teacup sat on the counter, dust settled in its base. No one had touched this place since she passed. I didn't cry. I set my bag down and cleaned methodically, kitchen, bedroom, porch. I opened windows to let summer air in, scrubbed the sink until it gleamed. In the hallway, I found a box labeled in Grandma Edith's handwriting, for Avery when she's ready. Inside were photos, letters, one unopened, folded neatly. I sat on the bed and read it. If they ever forget who you are, this house will remember. Love, Grandma E. That night, I made soup from scratch, carrot, potato, garlic. I ate on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, no music, no emails, just air. The next morning, barefoot, I walked to the lavender garden's edge. The purple blooms were wild, buzzing with bees. I brushed my fingers over the petals and breathed deeply. Lavender doesn't demand. It just grows. A knock on the porch startled me. A woman stood there, holding a basket of tomatoes. June, she said, smiling. Used to be Edith's neighbor. She handed me the basket without waiting for an invitation. She talked about you constantly. Said you were the only one who didn't expect anything but love. I swallowed hard. She defended you, June added. Said Avery's got boundaries, and boundaries aren't walls. We sat on the porch steps, mostly quiet, listening to birds and the creak of the swing. After she left, I pulled out my phone, removed the SIM card, and slid it into a drawer. I inserted a new one, adding just 3 contacts, my lawyer, my coworker Dina, and Kira, my college friend who once said, "You're not a suitcase for other people's expectations." I opened my laptop and typed one final message. To Carol, Marissa, Eli, do not contact me. The legal process will speak for itself. Avery, no explanations, no open doors. I stepped outside, barefoot in the grass, at the lavender's edge. The breeze carried its scent, the sun warmed my shoulders, and for the first time in months, maybe years, my shoulders relaxed. The wind held no voices, no guilt, no debts. Just space. They called, texted, begged. None apologized. Marissa sent a long email about emotional misunderstandings and how families shouldn't turn legal. Eli texted, "Didn't know you'd take it this far." Mom mailed a 10-page letter. No return address. All pain, no remorse. "You destroyed the family over money," it began. I read the first line and fed it to the shredder. It's been nearly a year since that knock. Since the truth stopped being just mine and became official. I left Seattle 2 months later for a small, bright apartment in Spokane. Soft gray walls, a balcony for plants, a kitchen I use. In March, I started at a cybersecurity firm working with data abuse victims, nonprofits, survivors, whistleblowers. In my final interview, the CEO asked, "Why here?" "I know what it's like to be violated quietly," I said. She nodded. "Welcome to the team." My days are simple now. I walk to work, buy groceries for myself, cook for one, journal 1 line daily, read books I never finished. My phone stays quiet because I choose it. In April, Julia Carter emailed the case's final update, settlement complete. Financial block confirmed. No further contact required unless you initiate. The quiet was enough. One April afternoon, I saw a girl in the grocery store who looked like Emma. Same wide eyes, same messy ponytail. I remembered her whispering, "I want to be like you." I smiled, then paused. Would I want her to be? Not the old me, who tied worth to giving. But maybe this me, the one who cooks without guilt, walks without checking her phone, who knows boundaries are sacred, not selfish. At a team lunch in May, someone asked what I'd tell someone betrayed. I thought, then said, "Healing sometimes starts with the lock clicking behind you." They nodded. No one asked for more. That evening, I fed Iris, my new cat, and poured wine. The sky glowed orange. I played Grandma Edith's playlist, jazz, soft gospel, her laugh at the end. I didn't cry. I let it fill the space. I turned off my phone, turned up the music, and danced alone, but not lonely for the first time in a decade. I didn't leave angry. I left because no one noticed how quiet I'd become. Sometimes the turning point isn't loud. It's the quiet moments you stop explaining and start guarding your peace. Family shouldn't make you lose yourself. Real love doesn't ask you to vanish to keep others comfortable. Even in the toughest chapters, dignity isn't about fighting. It's about knowing when to let go. And sometimes, letting go is how you find yourself. If this story resonated, if it stirred something in you, share your thoughts. What does family mean to you, and when did that meaning shift?